Eu vou introduzir, Valerie, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'll first introduce you in Portuguese, if I may. Valerie Singer é gerente-geral de educação global da AWS, liderando estratégias para ensino superior, pesquisa e ensino básico mundialmente. Também atua nos conselhos do Business Higher Education Forum e Fórum Econômico Mundial em iniciativas de capacitação profissional, com mais de 10 anos na AWS. Valerie também lidera a equipe de Skill to Jobs, que conecta sistemas educacionais a empregadores globalmente. Antes da AWS, ocupou cargos sêniores da Quest Software, Adobe, Oracle, BEA Systems e Cisco. Possui graduação em microbiologia pela Universidade de Maryland e mestrado em administração pública pela George Washington. So, David, please, you can now go forward with the translation here, and go forward with the translation here. And Priscilla, you will follow us? Great, thank you. So, Douglas, are you ready? David. Just a second.
Let's see how artificial intelligence helps us. Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't learn Portuguese yet. Just I arrived on Sunday, so give me a little more time.
But you learned something.
Yeah, obrigada.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Well, I have to say that xie is obrigado. Xie in Chinese, yeah, I learned.
There you go.
I didn't use that much in China, in 15 days in China, but I did. I did learn after all. So, desculpe.
It's hard to
A
see.
gente viu que estava funcionando, daí parou. Okay. Oh, here we go. So, have you choose the right language to display? I think so. Yes.
Okay.
Let's go for it. Well, here we go, and come on. Now is the other device. Okay.
Okay.
The momentum in education. What is the most meaningful shift you see happening right now at the intersection of education and technology?
Okay. So first of all, thank you for having me, and thank you for all your hospitality here in Sao Paulo. So I travel around the world, and I talk to education providers everywhere. And what we are seeing right now is a lot of experimentation with artificial intelligence. And so edtechs, education providers, both in the higher education, research, and K-12 realms, are really starting to think about the ways that they're going to use artificial intelligence. In fact, EDUCAUSE reported just in October that this year, education providers around the world are looking at AI governance. 39% of all education institutions have governance criteria, up from 23% just 1 year ago. So we're really starting to see this experimentation, and it's very widespread. We're also starting to see, especially in places like Brazil, which is such a ripe startup community, moving away from the initial stages of artificial intelligence and moving away from chatbots as the first entry point, and really starting to look at ways to create operational efficiencies within education, ways to really reach and interact with students in a different way, and ways to actually re-engage as an educational institution with the community. But we still have a long way to go, and data is still very much foundational to what we see in education, and so those data components are really fundamental to how educational institutions will then pursue artificial intelligence.
Great. So AWS works with schools, universities, and governments around the world. What global learning trends are you seeing that signal where education is heading?
I talked about just a few of them just now, but AI is everywhere. But when you look at the entrance points for AI that are really kind of the cornerstone of that is AI and data literacy. We still have a ways to go there. The underpinning of all of this is to understand where your infrastructure is. In Brazil, I just mentioned such a big startup community, a national AI plan, $4 billion in US dollars in investment in artificial intelligence for education, and yet Brazil still is only 1.8% of all of the compute infrastructure from a supercomputing perspective in the world. And so having the literacy to move to cloud and being able to access GPUs that way is really, really important, and we're seeing that as a trend line for education to be able to operate in a way that can scale effectively. And so that's the operational efficiencies. We're also seeing something really important happening in education around the world, and that's that education is looking at the return on investment for their students, and that means that the curricula that they teach needs to be impactful and provide job readiness for students. And so there's a lot of tooling that is being created to make that happen. And then the last one, which I think is really exciting and one that we'll all benefit from in our lifetimes, is the push towards lifelong learning. And so we're seeing educational institutions really starting to think about how they engage with their students long past the student leaving the institution and continuing that relationship. So one good example of that is National University of Singapore, which graduates its students and then provides a pathway to learning for 20 years past the students' exit from the university, maintaining that continuous loop of education so that they continue to be productive in their working life or switch to other careers when necessary so that they can reskill, retool, and then retrain in something else. So these are some of the ways that institutions are rethinking and also optimizing in an environment that's really changing fast, right?
Great. Well, I just have to say that I'm very proud of this translation, and Noemi too, that helping us here. Thank you so much. Well, people often talk about AI, but less about the infrastructure behind it. How does AWS envision this role in building the foundation for the next generation of learning?
It's crucial to make sure that you have not only the foundations of understanding of how to leverage a technology, but you have the right technology. And so AWS is very committed to working with education communities around the world to make sure that they have the right tools, the right infrastructure, the right cloud-based infrastructure. But that's not the only piece. That the AI literacy and the data components become really important. So our teams are really committed to making sure that when we talk about AI, we talk about the foundational components to make an institution, an ed tech, a K-12 operation very successful by understanding what data insights you will be looking to achieve and how to get there. So it's not just standing up a chatbot or expecting some operational efficiency without understanding what the underlying data needs are. There's also two more important components. One is security and making sure that data is secure and doesn't leak outside your organization. And the other is responsible and ethical use of AI. And so we provide a lot of governance, a lot of guidance around how to achieve that, so the environment that you create is not just scalable, but it's secure and it adheres to those ethical frameworks. We just heard in this last presentation, which I was listening to as much as I could, about equity and about diversity and about access. And these components are really important, especially when designing for AI. So anyway, all of those pieces are what we bring to the table, and what others should also be bringing when we're thinking about how to implement these technologies at scale.
Great. Well, we just came from China and Seoul and Korea, and we've seen some different cultures and the way that education goes there. From your global perspective, which countries or institutions are doing inspiring work with AI in education right now, and what can we learn from them?
There are some really interesting examples of experimentation. One is UNAB in Venezuela, which is bringing, and Khan Academy is doing this too with ConMigo, but bringing the tutorial assistants to their students, and so really predicting what a student, and using data to provide insights to do that, what a student is learning and what they may need to know, and how they may need to be instructed differently so they can be successful. And so students who have been engaging with this online tutorial assistant, first of all, they launched it to 200 students. It's now available to 5,000 students. UNAB has also tracked success. They've moved the needle from a value rating of the students' grades from 4.72 to 5.76. So we're starting to see the real positive impact of the Bloom Sigma kind of paradigm where, where if we have one-on-one tutoring, we can move a student's success to, 2 standard deviations to the right. With these assistants, it's really helping that at scale. We're also seeing experimentation in a way that's controlled, right? Like one of the things that we see a lot is that faculty is not keeping up with the instruction as fast as students are engaging with AI. And so this is a problem, for all of us, that we need to keep up as fast as students are going to be able to use the tools. And so we've created something called the Innovation Sandbox, and we're using this with Sheffield University in the UK to create a try, fail, try again kind of scenario where students, faculty, and administrators can engage in an environment that's controlled by cost, governance, data security, and be able to experiment and create things. And so they've created, in this sandbox, a curriculum for Gen AI for Law, which is now part of their curriculum. And so there's lots of this experimentation going on, and I encourage everybody to do that too, to create new pathways to learning, but in a way that is not with cost overruns or any kind of concern about leaking IP or other malfeasance in the environment. And so there's a couple of really good examples of this experimentation which are happening around the globe to really kind of change the pattern of learning.
Great. Well, I have to say that I'm Alexa addicted myself. And not only me, but I got one from my mother. And that helps a lot in many ways because she lives alone. And, in emergency case, better than a phone, Alexa could help a lot. So Alexa is already a part of millions of households. In your view, what role could Alexa play by supporting home learning in the near future? Could you imagine Alexa becoming a personalized study companion, helping with explanations, routines, reading support, or even parental engagement?
I think you just answered. So I'll tell you a funny story. During COVID at Amazon, we had, as you can imagine and still do, we have many, many, many virtual calls. And we had to start spelling Alexa because anytime we set it somewhere in the background of somebody's home, it would start to go off and do things.
Just tends to echo.
You have to spell ECHO. So to your point, yes, Alexa promises to be a really good assistant. And so there are lots of ways that Alexa can be used today, and there's lots of ways that Alexa Plus is going to be offered to expand that. So the first, I think you mentioned just a personal assistant to remind students when their homework is due, to remind students to go to class. There are skills classes that Alexa offers for STEM students to be able to build Alexa skills using block coding, which are really helpful for students to get hands-on experience with doing something pretty easy, which is building an Alexa skill that might be very applicable to whatever they want to do in their own home. Alexa can help parents drop in and monitor what's happening in their students' environment. And you can imagine a world where, we have this today, but with agentic AI, the ability to engage with Alexa in quite a different way will change over time. And then lastly, again, with lifelong learning, and I use tooling like this all the time too, it's a way to explore new ideas in the comfort and context of your own home. And so Alexa will continue to be, and other tools like Alexa, incredibly helpful for students and for parents, but also to create like a learning environment within the home that is really full and curious, and continues to expand the vision of the family and or whoever, your mother or whoever. So it's quite amazing how these tools are developing. And again, with Alexa Plus, the agentic workflows to be able to connect all kinds of different aspects of yours or a student's life are now possible.
Okay. Well, we are short of time now, but if schools of governments were to start a meaningful digital transformation journey tomorrow, what should be the very first step you recommend?
Okay. Pick a small project, but think big and long term. So the most successful schools are finding a pain point. Like, what's something that's really, really painful? We were talking to an organization yesterday that was spending a lot of money in plagiarizing and fraud software. And they said, look, I mean, this is just so expensive, and we think that we can readapt and use AI to help to generate a tool that we've built. And they now pay 10% of what they were paying before. So this operational efficiency has really translated into dollars and to reals, and really made a difference to the organization. So pick something that's painful, whether that's a financial aid piece or transcript revisioning or some sort of student engagement chatbot, and start there. But think long term and think about where the organization needs to head, and what the tools can do over the long term, so that you can start to build on those early successes and those early wins.
Great. So, and last, well, we have a question to the public, and they can publish in a newspaper the heading the heading news for the education in 2030. So if you imagine a daily life of a student in 2030, what does learning look like in a world deeply integrated with AI?
Okay, before I imagine that, I want to talk a little bit about some of the foundational things and address some of the questions that people have. Like, is AI going to replace us all? Is AI going to replace teachers? What is the role of AI as an assistant, as a co-pilot, versus AI as something that's all-knowing? And when we look at AI and what students need to know, what administrators need to know, what faculty need to know, it's really around that exploratory journey. So it's AI literacy, it's data literacy, it's governance, but it's also critical thinking. It's collaboration, right? And it's really kind of that adaptability and lifelong learning that's going to help us use these tools for good, right? So that's the first thing. But answering your question about what a life for a student might be like. If I'm a student, I wake up and my agentic AI workflow kicks off and says, here's some classes that you have today and here's how you need to prepare for them. The AI tool may provide me some audio or some visual flashcards for me to repeat so that I reinforce my learning. But if I'm not getting it, the AI tool may help me, and it may help me in a way to help prepare before I go to class. The AI tool might also remind me that a bill might be due and that I've made an appointment with a financial aid advisor, and that financial aid advisor is available at 2 p.m. right after one of my classes, and it's very close, and I can have lunch prior and beforehand. From an administrator's point of view, all of the heavy lifting and the friction points of all of the different disparate systems that currently have to be linked together in ways that are sometimes clunky are now all smoothed. And so financial aid and student information systems are all now highly collaborative to meet the needs of students so that the administrators can do higher order things within the university, better strategic planning, better community engagement, solving real problems for students and faculty like transportation issues or other issues that may impede a student's success. And then lastly, a faculty member now can engage with students because assessments and grading and all of the curriculum development is automated, and now they can help with mentoring and one-on-one engagement and really teaching those critical thinking elements so that students and faculty are engaging in much more profound and meaningful ways. So one of the things that gets wrapped around, especially when I travel around the world, that I hear too, if I may be so bold, I'll tell you one more piece of all of this that by 2030 I fully expect, is that large language models and specialized language models will start to be much more contextualized by culture. And so we're starting to see that around the world too, where LLMs are not just anglicized, like US-based context, but we're starting to see countries take the lead and create large language models that are highly contextualized by their own culture. So one example of that is called Sea Lion, and it's the Southeast Asia language large language models that is being developed by AI Singapore. Sea Lion contextualizes AI within the context of Southeast Asia. And so these kinds of models, I think, are going to be much more helpful for students as they also engage with the AI, because they'll be able to also understand the country, the region, and the area in which that student lives and provide that cultural context too. So lots to look forward to by 2030.
Great. Thank you so much for being here with us and to share everything that you're doing at AWS and all the foresight for education. And I would like to have uma salva de palmas ao David e à equipe técnica que está ajudando a fazer esse evento e que conseguiu fazer essa tradução para a gente. Muito obrigado. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I hope to see you again.
Thanks.